Hey Benchwarmers. Before we start this podcast, we would love to dedicate this episode to my Papou, who sadly passed away Christmas Day. A patron of Western Suburb Soccer Club in Sunshine West, an OG Melbourne Victory fan and member, as well as a massive Arsenal fan, my Papou lived and breathed football, just as I do and just as we all do. He was 93, so he's seen a lot. Glory days of Arsenal, the generations of Australian football, and its built foundations that he and many others were instrumental in supporting. But most importantly, he was a pillar in my football journey, supporting me from junior futsal all the way to, well, here, podding on the game that is loved by the same generation that helped build it. Efkaristo Papou, se agapaparopoli, rest easy.
Hey y'all, welcome to Benchwarmers, a WOSO podcast, episode 18. 18, we've finally reached, what do you do when you're 18? You can vote now. Our podcast can vote. They can drive in Victoria, and what else can we do? Not really much
have
else.
Alcohol,
slay. I mean, it doesn't work for us, but well, actually, both of us don't need alcohol at all because both of our teams provided excellent relief, karmic relief, in what could have been bad games for both teams in terms of our predictions. But we are moving straight onto the A-League Women's because that is the only league that doesn't sleep in the world right now. They're just running world football at the moment. I don't know how all the PR isn't just seeping down under. We had I would argue, one of the games of dub history. I feel like this game will go into easily folklore. I'll let you take this away, but Central Coast Mariners hosting your beloved Victory. And how did you feel about 61 minutes into this game?
Just deep anger, depression. feelings of if this keeps going on, I might end up on the news. Like this, nice. This is like, I was very upset and rightfully so, because I said to you after the first goal by Central Coast in what was like the 31st minute, I was fine. I was like, if that goal is the determining goal,
what a goal though.
What a goal, what a strike, amazing. I didn't care. I was like, I'll lose the 3 points for this strike. And then after the break, Central Coast go on an absolute riot. We get overrun immensely in midfield and defense. So much so that I was thinking, like, it looks like we have 10 men on the pitch, 9 men on the pitch. Like, it just looked like Central Coast always had one more player. It looked like we were behind most of the time of the ball. It just looked slow. And that led, obviously, to a flurry of goals within less than 10 minutes in the 50th to the 60th minute.
The headers shouldn't be allowing them to run through the aerial threats. I mean, Rasmussen's had a good year so far to start with. And Peter Trimmis is very, very entertaining to watch. I mean, youngster with a lot of potential. But they were running riot through you at home. I don't know what it was, but it felt like every chance they got in that first hour of the game, it was a flurry of low to medium percentage chances that were taken very, very well. And I felt like it was just their day. Like they just had you on a string and that happens. That definitely happens to sides, but you did need to claw something back, some level of respect. And I didn't expect it to happen like that, but there was a complete capitulation, a drowning in Central Coast for the last one does always turn into two, but I didn't really expect the third goal. The third goal was quite ridiculous.
I expected it. I said to you, I said to anyone listening that I knew that when we got that second goal, it was inevitable that we'd get the third. To me, I think that the man of the match, and I think anyone watching this match will tell you, it's Rianne Pollicina. She was absolutely phenomenal and has been for Victory. I think she's been our standout player, our standout signing. I really expected Taylor Ray to kind of come to herself in this game just because she was playing her old side, but it wasn't really meant to be, just because the midfield was not. It wasn't.
She just came on. It wasn't her game to make a mark. I mean, she did play a part in covering the defensive line. The second half, the goals that they copped, her playing in the 6 in the middle of the park is not it's not really her fault when they're cutting through the sides. Like it's not like they're playing straight through the center of the park. But they kind of took my blueprint. So you predicted a 3-0, 4-0 win for Victory. I predicted a 1-1, but I said that if you do exactly what we did against you last week, where you play the width, you make the back four or the back three in transition look really wide, then you can slice through the middle, and that's exactly what Rasmussen is for. I mean, the first goal you're not going to stop. That's completely different. But you are. I mean, I hate talking about Polly because it's just depression. But like there are just certain players in the league. I mean, we can joke and take the piss out of the A-League All-Star kind of thing. Yeah. But the reality is there are just players that are levels above the rest and like could do it in other countries if they wanted to. But it is nice that we do have a semblance of talent that upholds the standards that exist here. And I think she's just one of those players that is running riot comfortably, enjoys living in Melbourne, enjoys being a dominant force in football for Melbourne, regardless of what side of the table she's on. And then, I mean, good to see SACKINGS get a goal. I think she's deserved a goal for her
an underrated strike. Like it'll get
through traffic as well. 100%.
Yeah, it'll get it'll get overlooked because of the fact that we had scored the third. But like the chest to the volley was just so neat, and the way that she hit
like that. to balance that, to not scuff it, to not slip over. There's a lot of technique in that. And then the ball through for O'Grady's final finisher. I mean that's it, right? You kind of just knew, and even the commentary did know. It was like I kind of thought, all right, set up shop, the manager will take control, but ultimately there was just no manager. I don't know what Hopkins was doing. I felt like he didn't have to say anything. It was just like, I'm going to control this game. I'm going to make sure that we don't drop points, and you take the game on how it should be. But the Central Coast manager should be slowing this game down,
yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Yeah, it should be
banking up,
screaming,
By the second goal, I was so surprised that they still kind of kept their same formation. And you can say like by each goal, they kind of dropped the defender down. But I don't know how you can have a breakaway like that, cutting through your defense. No mind the fact that like the Central Coast Mariners player like fell over comically and led to the 1v1. But like it was at the point where you're like, I would rather cease possession to the other team and create multiple banks so they're not getting through. And they didn't do that, and it was calamity, and it was hilarious to watch. Like I haven't screamed like that since like the Champions League final. I was just like, it was concerning how happy I was for a team that is just Melbourne Victory.
I mean, it's good. I mean, it's good to see you creating even when you think you're out. Like to know that your team can come back from now sets a blueprint for other teams to know that they can be down but never out. I feel like Central Coast did a good job of stopping Kennedy White, but it shows now that you have other avenues to go. I did criticize your ability to create chances. If it's not Polly or Kennedy, who's going to score? And SACKINGS has now made it clear that she can do it. Furphy's now made it clear that she can create for other people and consistently do it. I think she's definitely got an abundance of talent that's going to keep going, and she hit the woodwork, I believe, in this game as well.
I think so, yes.
Probably should have had a goal there. But I mean, good strikes, good games all round. Even some like a performance off the bench. I mean, I think the more minutes like players like Sienna Silvestre get will be very helpful for Victory down the line in the future. None of this will matter because my team are a joke. My team are hilarious. I was taking the piss out of your team saying Kennedy White or bust. I was taking the piss out of Brisbane and Perth for their respective talismanic strikers, and even Rasmussen, who now has 7 goals for CCM. I now can't say that because my team is genuinely Holly or bust. As we move to my team beating Perth Glory 3-1. I mean, we did start slow, and this is now kind of our norm, to be honest, because you kind of picked us off even when we were playing slow, deep-lying possession passes, sideways, backwards. But Perth got a hold of our defensive width, and Lexi and Stott, when they try and push forward and get some territory, they can get caught out very easily. And Bronte True should have scored in that first half. That should have been a goal. And I mean, very, very sad. Like, she does get a goal in the end of this game, but it's consolation because ultimately you miss these chances and the game goes begging, right? Because if it's 1-0 up, then the game changes. The way we approach the game is different. But ultimately, it's not about it. Like, I can talk about the technical brilliance of Holly McNamara. I can talk about everything that she's better at everyone at. But this game showed how much more athletically gifted she is than the league, right? So Leah Davison got a hat trick of assists in this game, and none of the passes were particularly spectacular. They were just balls ahead of her enough so that she can take the 5-6 steps. And I mean, I feel really bad for Tijan McKenna, who's a young and budding defender for Perth, but there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do if someone's playing the ball ahead of McNamara.
Or even just steps, laterally, the second
laterally, either or. She can create as well, and she does create a great chance for, I believe it's Buttress who fluffs the chance. In, I believe, the 60th minute. But the game was kind of over when Davidson plays that ball ahead of McNamara, and then she drives through, passes it into the side netting. Teresa Morrissey, just no chance. It's not her fault. None of the 3 goals were Morrissey's fault. And we'll talk about next week. We are filming this on a Sunday, so some of the next round's games have happened. But Teresa Morrissey's amazing goalkeeper for Perth, but there's nothing you can do when McNamara's in on goal. And then the best moment of the game for me was the 48th minute. Uchendu's press, fantastic. That's exactly why we bought her, why we've signed her. Really strong in the press, held her off, plays it to Davidson, plays it to Holly Mack, 1v1. Lives for it, side netting again, 2-0, we're up. And then, it was, again, both City teams doing this thing where we kind of switch off for a bit and we get a bit complacent, and that's what happens with this ball from Georgia Cassidy to Grace Johnson is a ping and a half, and then the chaos ball across the box falls to Bronte True, who gets her goal. And I don't know, I wasn't really nervous. The 2-1 wasn't particularly inviting for them, especially when Macca was setting up Buttress, and then I'd expect Buttress to finish that, but also she'll score enough goals. Like, Buttress is young, she'll learn from that, but she was so visibly angry she missed that, and that's the sign of worldy players, they hold themselves to such a high regard. And then the last goal, the McNamara to seal the hat trick, that ship is a joke. That's an actual joke. And it's McKenna again. She knows she's sitting with McKenna on her shoulder. She's like, you can't run with me. You just can't. Even if you try, I'll chop you up, but I can just run laterally. I can chip the keeper. I can do whatever I want. This is my swamp. Get out of here. She was unstoppable, a worthy hat trick, and then a few chances for both teams. Gabby Holler had a chance for them. Keane had a really cool run down the left side. I think Aideen Keane's really coming into her own. And just, great to watch, great to see. I'm looking at the ladder at the moment, and we're playing later today, but I'm very happy with the amount of games we have played and the amount of points we sit. One game behind your lot with 4 games in hand. So, there is probably a semblance of comfort in the sense of that. I think we might lose 1 or 2 games, but we don't lose a lot during the league.
3 games,
but we can lose 3, and we're still on track for finals, right? And at this point, I kind of think this is. I don't know what you think of this, but we're kind of like the NWSL in the sense of that being top of the league doesn't really mean much anymore.
No, not really, because as proven last season, you guys can go invincible and it not mean anything.
And it just doesn't matter. And look at how good Current were for the NWSL. It just coming first, peaking too early is a real thing, and it happens in a lot of other sports. It just doesn't happen as much in football as we see, because we hold such a league format to high regards, whereas cup we don't have playoff cups in a lot of other leagues, so we don't really talk about the idea of peaking at the right time. You just have to be good all year. But the reality is that if we're going to drop points, it's now, and then we can peak for the second half of the season. But right now we are looking really dangerous, really fresh. I am worried about the catch-up games and how that will affect our fitness as a whole. But
I guess it's more about squad depth, and I think that that's kind of where the question of City has always lied. Kind of how do you blood in your new players, your younger talent? Obviously, there's a philosophy there, there's a system there that I actually think is not the same as the typical City philosophy. Just because you have a player like Holly Mack, so kind of like Bunny Shaw for the women's Manchester City team. You kind of lose the philosophy when you have such a dominant player in the center of the park that you can just pass to, cross to, whatever. So to me, it's what will happen if Holly Mack gets injured, similar to what happened when Bunny Shaw got injured.
When rude, how dare you?
Well, it is inevitable that a player that is like running at such crazy steam will eventually have to either take a break or get injured. It's just
but I think our defense is. I am comfortable in the sense that I think. I mean, just despite like single second, like minutes of like just being quiet or being over aggressive, our back four does hold tight. I think Stott and Otto will go down all time as one of City's best defensive partnerships that we've had. And Apostolakis, I think she'd be eyeing a Tilly's cap potentially soon. I think if we don't need, if we're doing local games. I mean, obviously Monty's not going to change up who we have, and we do have cover in the right backside, but this is the future. If she keeps playing, this is the position, right? So this is where Ellie was not that long ago, and I feel like our fullbacks are the ones that Europe takes more. I feel like they look at our fullbacks and they like see like conditioned monsters, and they go, and they're like defensively sound and don't make many mistakes, and they just go, you know what? We love that. We'll take that 100%. And I think she's the next one in line. Around the grounds, where we had the last game that we predicted. Oh, by the way, I predicted 4-1 for the Melbourne City game. I was very close. You said 5-0, so you weren't far off either. But this game was crazy. You thought it would be a 0-0. You thought Adelaide Western Sydney Wanderers would be a 0-0. That couldn't be further from what happened. And I did say Adelaide would win. 3-1 is a bit low, but a 5-2 smashing from Adelaide. And this is exactly what we were talking about last podcast, between the best of Adelaide United and the worst of Adelaide United. And we saw, I mean, again, the goals they conceded are probably those little mistakes that were coming up earlier in the year, but the attacking output was sublime.
It was so good and so technically good. I remember I believe this game was either going on at the same time as the Victory game, so I only caught like the first 15 minutes and then had to switch over. But then when I went and watched the rest of the game, I was so surprised at the sheer technical capacity of this Adelaide side, particularly in the first half and particularly with their first 3 goals, particularly the second and the third. I was so impressed.
Zois's long shot was beautiful.
Oh, and but Healy's turn and then the cut in. Oh, yeah, so that was good.
I mean, we do have to mention, Erin Healy's game was insanity. Yeah. Like, most dribbles, most duels, most goals, most chances created, defensive contributions, like absolute joke of a game. Like, you know, when we talk about those like stupid games numbers wise, like this game is where we can talk the numbers, but there's no point because you just see it. She's just defending everything. She's creating everything. The Taranto sisters were all over their mitts in the first 20 minutes of this game, especially the right side. So Toland, Taranto, Zois, that triangle between the three of them is very, very dangerous. And then the second half, I know Hodgson got the first goal, but Hodgson in the second half was fantastic. And having Dorba and Healy finish off the game.
You have to talk about the Western Sydney goal, though.
Which one? Insard's goal?
That just shows why these two teams are really actually bottom of the table. Because you kind of scored those first 3 opening goals if you're Adelaide, and then let in one of the worst goals I've seen from a long-range shot. Shout out Alyssa
Insard, 17 years old, to take that shot on.
What do you mean
as
that shot? She passed it terribly, like into the net, and the goalkeeper just went in
from 35 yards. It was insane. It was crazy. But this is what I think Western. The problem is that with Adelaide, when we were looking at the Adelaide United squad prior to this game, you see a lot of talent and maturation and experience, and you think, why are these players not delivering to the level that we know they can? Whereas Western Sydney are just a bunch of either new signings or children, or new signings, Lagazo or children, and like the fact that you're relying on a 17-year-old to score from 35 yards out to break your deadlock is not okay. It's not good enough, right? Like that's the reality, and their team just doesn't hold. Their two strikers up front, the So Yun, who is really good at finding her own space, but she can't do it on her own, and Kong as well. They're both new signings. They don't have the experience in the league to take the game on by the scruff of the neck just yet, and they don't have the support in that middle five. Berry Hill is a good player, but it's not enough. They just don't have the maturity in the middle to create the chances that they want. Even their best chance of the first half is Chisari taking a shot and then their striker blocking it. Like their own players are blocking their own shots, and I just think there is just a chemistry problem between the players.
That's what Healy said. Healy said, I believe in a post match a couple of weeks ago, that the real problem was an inconsistency in playing time, but also just the fact that they had brought in so many players that it was really tough for them to get that chemistry. And I think that that's really obvious, especially in the final third movements, just talking about kind of how players are kind of making their own chances because it's not really a collective build-up. But then also obviously in defense, like they just look like shambles in defense, especially under pressure.
I mean, it is exciting now that I feel like this game is a bit of a wake-up for Adelaide, for them to break, start the streak, start the run. They're not that far behind the pack. And look, they're going to play CCM. They're playing CCM this coming week, and I think that ultimately Adelaide are one of those teams that are going to be scary for a lot of other teams. Their points tally, their results are very unflattering, but mask the reality of what they present, especially at home. At home, anyone's playground. I mean, I feel like the dub is specifically the home ground advantage is very crucial in the way in which you play, because it's dimensions. It's the pitch width. It's the support. It's how you feel in the 60th, 70th minute of a game. You get that second wind. It's crucial. I mean, you can see it in victory games, home and away. Look at what just happened at CCM. Like that was such an unvictory performance first half, and then you pulled out something out of nowhere. But it is crucial when we're looking at what we have left, the games we have left in the season, where they sit and how they end up home games. And that's why I think the top two is more important. And if my lot and your lot end up top two, then we'll be a comfortable stroll to the finals likely. But Canberra are looking the goods as well. But we will get to Canberra at some point. But we're going to look at Western Sydney again playing the Knicks, getting smacked up by the Knicks, to be honest. And there's just, I mean, the only player I want to really shout out for the Knicks is Vlock. Vlock is just so technically gifted. Holy crap. I forgot which goal it is where they ping it out to Vlock and she flicks it over, and then it ends up in Samba's path, and then Samba runs through and then plays it across to MMA, and who gets her brace. But I think it might be the third goal, because they scored their second and third within 2-3 minutes of each other. But this game exactly showed it was the same problems as the Adelaide United game, for Western Sydney. They're just the immaturity up front. Samba going crazy in the first half, going crazy in the second half, just being a presence. But I think Vlock is fantastic, and I think Jarley even had that free kick. It could have been more. It could have been 4-0 to be honest, but relentless attack from the Knicks. And I think, look, the Knicks look very fresh under this new management, new structure. I think they're going to make a run for the playoffs. Whether they make it is a big question, but I don't know how they fare against top sides.
I think what is so good about the Knicks is that they have a playing style that is what I would typically class as quite idealistic football. They don't really bank. They play a 3-back system. They are very, very attacking. But I think what I love watching about the Knicks is that they are a unit. They will attack together. They will defend together as well. And they have conceded some goals, but they don't just give up easy goals. And what they do is score very, very good goals. And I think what it is to be a good team in the W League is to have both consistency, but also a bit idiosyncrasy. Like, you need to be able to create your own style of football in a league that is very, very simple and easy if you know what to do. And because the A-League is filled of a bunch of sameness, to be different like the Knicks have been, to be different under like a Bev Priestman system, which obviously we've seen do wonders for a national team, I think using players like Brooknun, Sampa, you talked about Volk, like these are players that you can use in a system to get you success on the pitch, like in terms of results, but also just like cohesive team unit. Like you like playing well, like you like playing good football. It's kind of a tenet of football.
And it makes you good to watch, and it makes you like, again, Wellington get behind their team. The players and fans and spectators will show out, especially at home. Travelling fans are a bit more difficult, but if they make finals, you'll see a lot more travelling fans coming to Melbourne or Canberra if we finish closer to the top than they do. But they'll challenge us, they'll work hard, and their technical brilliance can get them over the line against smaller teams, but can they get over the pack and into where they want to be? Similar to CCM versus Brisbane, kind of a middle of the pack / edging towards the playoff stage. This was a ripper game as well. Holy moly, there's a few games in this last week that definitely put on a great show. But this was kind of the same actors doing the job for both teams, the usual suspects, Trimus, Scipio for the first goal for CCM, and then Myers forces that rebound parry for the equaliser for Kuliamu, and then I don't know how Sean Fryer scores this header. It makes no sense. The ball is terrible. It's like this looped 20-second, the slow motion header, and then she just somehow just gets the better of the defender and floats this header. It was like a jumpers for goalposts kind of goal. Like that's how it felt. But I mean, this was shambles, by the way. I felt really bad for Brisbane because they scored. It was 6 minutes added time to the 45th in the first half. And so that would mean 51, blow the whistle. We're in the 53rd minute, at late in 53, and they get this set piece, and they whip it across, and then the ball's saved on the line, the keeper misses it, Rasmussen heads this ball into an open net, and I'm just like, what are we doing? It's 50. We're nearly hitting an hour for the first half. Like, that's just so unfair. But, I mean, there's just no justice in the world for Brisbane at all because
there's none when I curse them. Remember, the leaky curse comes true. I said that Brisbane were like my second, if you're going to have a second favorite, my second favorite team. I mean, they're good to watch. Yeah. And then literally the minute I say that, they go on a terrible run of form. I mean, they're outside of the top 6. This is crazy. I mean, Brisbane were once second. They beat all the teams above them, and now they're just like wasting points on lower team fodder.
I think they're struggling to create chances for their front three. I think it's important,
which is crazy
when we're looking for high percentage chances from these players that definitely have the capacity to put the ball in the net. But I want to look at, if you want to look at the stats for a second, look at this. This is crazy, by the way. To have 14 shots to 6. So Brisbane had more shots, but from 6 shots to garner 2.4 XG is absolutely insane, by the way. That means you're giving up really high quality chances. I know one of the headers was from 1 yard out, and I'm not talking about that, but you've got to take your chances. You can't have big chances and just not take them how you should. I just think that there's a lot to be asked of a player. Like, I don't know. I just think you're looking at Myers. Myers is a young player. Kaliumu, young player. They're 18-year-olds. Janssen is great, but the last few weeks hasn't been the same player.
I'm looking at Sean Fryer. Like, obviously, you have to look at Sean Fryer. I mean, on loan from Wolfsburg. Like, obviously, you're not just going to Wolfsburg for fun. Like, you're going to Wolfsburg because you're a player of worth. And I'm not asking you to pull this team out of the gutter by herself, but we are seeing, Holly McNamara is a good example of players being able to do that for teams in tight situations. And I think for the last few weeks, she's been scoring, she's been assisting. But what are the problems at Brisbane outside of the front 3, outside of the front 5, if you like? And it's the midfield. It's that Woods in that 6th position getting absolutely isolated because of their stupid 4-1-4-1, which I will go to the grave hating.
I mean, I love 4-1-4-1, and I'll never say a bad thing about 4-1-4-1. Yeah, damn straight. But also, they are trying. I think they do have not necessarily injuries, but they are mixing and matching that midfield, because players like Medwin were sitting in the midfield before, playing in that 6 or that 8 and progressing the ball. Now they've shoehorned her into left back. Maybe it's through injury. I don't really know the answer, but I kind of thought, I mean, I feel bad for Fry if you're playing a 4-1-4-1. She gets isolated on the left, right? She gets isolated wide instead of trying to cut in through the center of the park or get more isolation further forward instead of trying to carry the ball with her and then whip the ball into a player like Janssen or Kilamu. Like, there are options that you can adopt to make the 4-1-4-1 more progressive and more secure for your attacking players, because in the 4-1-4-1, you're isolating the striker, you're isolating the 6, you're isolating the left mid and the right mid. It's a very responsible formation for independent brilliance, but if they're not firing, before it was Janssen or bust, right? If Janssen's not scoring, I don't see them scoring many goals, and even when they did, like this game, they're copying more goals. So I think there is a lot to question in how they operate their defensive structure from now into the next bout of games, in comparison to the top of the table, right? So Canberra being hosted by Newcastle Jets, doing the job my lord, to do it in the 93rd minute. Seriously, Sienna Dale, what a goal, by the way. Stanek Floody, that backheel ball to her is technical brilliance at its finest, right? That's what we want to see. I mean, Michelle Heyman did have about, 7 shots, and there was a good long shot. There was a few post hits, but I mean, she does get chances created for her, and that's what happens, but none taken too well. So I thought Newcastle did a job on locking her up quite well, but I mean, 32 shots, 10 on target to 10 and 1 on target. I mean, one's bound to go in eventually, and Sienna Dale was the culprit, was the player who got the 3 points for Canberra. They're sitting at the top. What do you think of them at the moment?
I hate to say this because, as I've said on the podcast before, to like Canberra is to completely falsify the history of the dub if you're a Victory fan, which is like perpetual angst and rivalry. But I have to admit, the way that Canberra have been playing in the last few weeks has been reminiscent of some of their best football of the early to late 2010s. I have been really, really amazed at just the way that they're using their players. The technical skill that they're being allowed to possess on the field has been incredible to show, because you can have all the technical skills in the world, but to actually show it and to use it in game, and you saw it with the back heel, was fantastic. But I have to talk about Newcastle, because Newcastle to me are basically a failed institution at this point. Like, there is nothing that I can give that is redeeming to this Newcastle team. I mean, they've had some good chances and some good possibilities in game, but it's the level of consistency which to me is so baffling for a team that has like actual decent players and genuine capability outside of just like ballers. They have like experience and they have class in their team, and it's like, how do you go about multiple seasons now of just perpetual failure? Like, I don't understand it. I think that this is a problem in the W League, where because there's not that level of pressure, we don't really have like established teams, if you're like having like basically like the ceiling, like Victory, City, maybe Canberra, but not really that much. Like, those are the teams that you're like kind of expecting to do well. But then outside of that, it's like Central Coast Mariners can go on a good run, but then like they can drop off because no one really expects them to do well. Newcastle can be like perpetually underperforming and no one really cares. Perth can complain about being 1,000 miles away and no one really cares because they're in Perth. Like, and then Wellington can be fantastic and no one talks about them because they're in New Zealand. Like, it's just frustrating, I guess.
We're not really going to talk about the round that's happening now, but this is now 4 losses in their last 5, 3 in a row, and I think they are creating chances. The clips I've watched of them and when they play against us respectively, when you're watching full matches, they do create chances for themselves, and some players can take them, but I mean, a lot of football is just getting the ball in the net sometimes, and if you're forcing parries from 18 to 15 yards out, maybe it's worth getting higher percentage chances in the 6-yard box, taking less shots on. They do get shots off, they're just not putting them in the back of the net, and I think that's what becomes I mean, that's the difference between Canberra, is that Canberra has these barrages of shots, but eventually they end up with a shot that's 6 yards out, right? And that's the goal. You've got to finish those chances. And I think for Newcastle, there is, I mean, a lot to be desired. I mean, their next game coming up technically is Central Coast as well, who will give them a run. They'll give them chances as well. So they got to take them against them, because Rasmussen and Trimis and all their usual suspects will be going after them the same way that Canberra did, right? If Michelle Heyman's having 6 shots, Rasmussen would be looking at that going, I should have six or 7 shots as well. Yeah. But that's all we have for the dub. We are now going to talk about some transfers. Before we get into like end of year stuff, the 2025 stuff, that's why these guys are up, by the way, because I don't have a kit that's 20. So I just did 10 and 10 and then 2 25s. But
thank you for explaining that, Ben.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
I had to. We're going to talk about a few transfers. We're going to start with a very interesting one that was, I mean, we've also put this in the prep that it's just me being an oracle god. Like, I've just predicted a few things in a row, which is a bit wild. One of which being Edna Imade potentially getting recalled to Bayern Munich, and I did say this, right. So early on, I'll put in the soundbite now.
Edna Imade, she's currently loaned out to Sociedad. She's just signed to Bayern and gone to Sociedad on loan. She came from Granada, 16 goals in the Liga F. She is honestly like I'm calling ballers inside. This girl, if someone goes down in that Bayern team, she gets recalled. This is a player like both. She's like the 2-footed. Like I genuinely like the goal. Like, you watch her goals on TikTok or anything, any media outlet where you see any of her goals. One clip will be left foot. One clip will be right foot. Next goal with her head. Other goal back to the goal. The variety of goals she scores. She's a brick. She's lightning fast. She has a low driven shot with her right foot along the ground, and then a left foot smack into the near post. She's got everything I want in a striker. She's a ripper player. I think 24 years old. You're looking at trying to succeed, further progress your career. If she makes big waves back at Liga F, just keep banging in the goals, which she's proven she can do, I reckon she'll get a recall. I reckon she'll be a look to see if she can get a few games for Bayern.
Basically, yeah, this is what I expect. I didn't expect Schuller to leave, but I did expect, if they do well in the Champions League, if they're dominating in the league, to have the cover for a player like Peniel, who's a bit older and wants to play Champions League 90 minutes, then use Imade through the league, or if they get Anyomi, which I also predicted as well. If they get Anyomi, I said it'd be intra-club. I said she wouldn't leave Germany, because if you're starting for Germany, you don't leave Germany. The DFB would love you to just keep playing at the top level in the local league, the domestic league. But Imade is just such a good player to have in terms of like security structure. To have her as part of your second squad is exactly how European titans begin, right? It's not about the precedent of she could start for them, but she is young, she is raw, she isn't completely polished the same way Peniel Bull.
Well, she's 25. She's not like 19.
No, but I mean in the sense of like her game is very like 19, 20 years old. Sure, that's what I mean.
So she only really burst on the scene in like 2023. So.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. I think it's her season at Sociedad last year was crazy. And I mean, the aerial threats, they get a lot of corners, they get a lot of set pieces. If she comes on in the 80th minute to finish off a game, score 2 headers and put some insult to injury, she'd love that. And I think she'd rather play for Bayern than Sociedad. There's more to play for. There's more honors ahead of her, and I kind of respect it.
It's crazy that they're going to miss out on a player who went from scoring 10 goals in 12 games. That obviously will have an impact because they're not the most polished team, but they're just happening to do fantastic. But what Bayern get from this recalling of the loan is more squad depth, more accessibility to talent that isn't naturalized German, right? Like, a lot of the players that come to Germany outside of Germany are usually players that can fit into the Bundesliga quite well. I think that the thing that for me Bayern have done so well is the bringing in of someone like Tanaka, right? Like a player who can come in and can kind of shift how they're playing in the final third to make it more, just to make it more unique, more different. And what Imade can bring is more directness, is far more skill and far more, I think, quality on the ball than some of her counterparts even in that Bayern team. I think if we're looking at her as a pseudo replacement for someone like Schuler, it's interesting because Schuler has obviously been like a stalwart in that Bayern team as of recently. And I don't think that she's going to come in with the expectation of trying to be the next Schuler because she can't. But she can be a different version of what you can have in the forward line.
I mean, she's got competition. She's got Damjanovic. She's got Peniel.
That's not competition. Yeah. That's not competition.
I think it is. It definitely is. I can't wait. I can't wait till she dunks. She dunks all over United and Schuller's face. I can't wait for it. I love Damjanovic. If I played football, it would be.
She's like your Stina. She's like your. She's your Stina.
No, she's not. She's not Stina. There's a level of dominance that Stina.
They are so the same. They're not the same.
They're not the same. Stina has scored a ridiculous amount more. Like she's much more of a striker. She's not as technically gifted.
But the way that I see Stina, the way that I see Stina,
oh yes, I do agree. I shill for Damjanovic in a way that no one will ever understand, other than Thomas Muller. Thomas Muller understands how good Damjanovic is, but Imade is a different option, and it is very exciting. And I think it's exciting for Spain. I mean, you said it as well. I mean, you didn't even mention Georgia Stanway, who's English and cultured very well to the German ball. And
that's what I meant,
you don't see that a lot. You don't see a lot of German English players or outside of. I feel like Germany does have a chameleon effect where they can play around and adapt, but Bayern do it better than everyone else. I think VfL, it took a while for Bierenstein to crack the system. It took a while for other players to mold into the VFL system or the Hoffenheim or whatever. But again, there's a higher percentage of Germans who take control of the standards and the top echelons of the team, whereas now you're looking at Bayern and they work. I mean, what Bayern will look like without Georgia Stanway is a very interesting outlet. But we'll move quickly into Schuler, who was confirmed now to Manchester United. Depression for any Schuler lovers out there.
This is depression for my dad. I mean,
for me as well, to be honest. Streets won't forget that first game of the Euros where Schuler literally looked like FIFA Street God mode, like game breaker mode. Like everything she touched was just gold. But
it's just sad. It's like sad. Genuinely depressing. It's like you go from being like so revered to being a United player. Like I don't know what I do. I need them to sit down. Not these
That's the soundbite I'm going to use about Jess Park, by the way. That's you go from being revered to being a United player.
Yeah, I need them to sit down. No PR, no bullshit. Like I need them to sit down and I need someone to ask the question, why United? Outside of playing in England and outside of playing in Europe, does Schuler get 90 minutes?
Yes,
I mean, there are 3 players ahead of her. I mean, at this point,
it's not. We discussed this last week.
Yeah, but we don't have to go over it again. I'm just saying that there are options there, and I don't know how well Schuler, who is out of form, she has been out of form since the Euros.
Can I ask how many goals has Turland and Mallard combined scored in the Champions League?
I know. Are you including the qualifications?
No.
Because
no,
okay, well,
the actual Champions League.
No, because that counts for United. The qualifications count just as much as the actual Champions League for United.
Not to Bayern. It doesn't count to Bayern. Leah Schuler has how many goals in the Champions League as a total?
Season?
No, not this season.
Again, it does not matter about what happened 3 seasons ago, 2 seasons ago.
I think it does, though.
It doesn't, because she's out of form. She hasn't gotten back into form, and she's struggling. And she's
because you need 90. You need 90 minutes to get back into form.
She got 90 minutes. She was getting 90 minutes, and then she was basically taken. Her own form took herself out of the 90-minute spot. There were just better players.
I mean, you could argue that. Yeah, no. That the second half of that sentence, I 100% agree with. That Bayern have now progressed beyond the need for a player like a talisman-like player like Leah Schuler.
For all intents and purposes, Germany has as well. Like, this is what I mean. She's not doing it on either front.
Yes, I understand, but I'm talking about United are a very immature side in the Champions League, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, immature. Yeah, a player like Rolfo, a player like her, gives them experience. They know they've been there. They've done this part. They go into the athletic game.
Rolfo has never had the same dip of form that Shula has. She just
No,
hasn't.
no,
And you can say that Shula going
I
will
understand that.
something,
I understand that Shula is not the same Shula. I'm not here saying that it's the same Shula. I haven't said that once. What I am saying is that United do not have a player who's been to. This is uncharted territory for Manchester United, correct? Yeah? They need players who know what to do in these situations, who've done it before. It doesn't matter if they're out of form. Skinner believes, whoever's in charge of the sporting director of the women's team, believes that players like Shula can be played back into form and can do the job of providing the maturity, providing the experience, and then also off the field, providing advice for youngsters who need the security and the semblance to know that what they're doing is part of the greater plan of a project, right? I think if Shula doesn't play, she'll just move somewhere else, right? But if Shula plays and if she scores a goal or two against Atletico and then goes up against her former side and potentially shows them levels, then it sets the precedent. Like this is, I mean, I think about this. This could be Leah Shula's like Chloe Kelly moment where this is what happens. If you don't respect me, you don't respect who I am as a player and what I've done for this club, I'm going to go to someone else, I'm going to win for them, and then not only I'm going to win for them, I'm going to come up against you and I've got no remorse. I'm going to go up and I'll be double as hungry, double as hard. I think she's looking at the United Bayern leg like her life depends on this game. Like I think people don't realize how big this game will be if United beat Atleti. I think it'll be an immense failure if they lose to Atleti and then Shula's kind of just a mistake and then it's just really a question of do Arsenal make the Champions League next year if United just take the league on in a way that you guys can't because you'll be knee deep in the Champions League. But I am so excited to see Shula against her old side, even Rolfo playing against Bayern like it's the old days. Like this is a precedent to say, you know what, we've left your project, and now I'm going to show you why you should have regretted that decision.
I just think in terms of United's squad, like if we're putting that metric of they need a player that's been there, done that, do you think that Dominique Janssen, do you think that Jess Parker of equal value because of that reason? Like
Janssen, in a way, was never that good, though. Was never that
He was
good.
in a final of a Champions League.
No, correct. No, it is important. But come on. We're talking about Leah Shula.
Leah Shula's never been in a final of a Champions League.
I'm not saying that you need.
I'm just saying
you need
that
experience
level is
in
the
every
same.
part of the park, though. You need experience in every part of the park.
Jess Park? Jess Park?
Jess
They're
Park
at
has
the same
8 games. Jess Park played 8 games in the Champions League before she came to United. That's not the experience I'm talking about. Jess Park has played less games in the WSL than Leah Shula has played in her entire life combined in the Champions League, I reckon. That's how many games she's played. That's how long she's been doing it for. I think it is a difference in experience. I think Leah Shula, I agree, Janssen is great, but Janssen can't tell Mallard what to do in the Champions League as a striker.
What about JC? What about JC? Champions League winner JC.
I'm going to die. I'm going to die.
I'm just giving you examples.
No,
that you can't just place that someone's experience trumps them over a player who's molded themselves into a United team. I think Turland has, and I think Mallard has.
I think they do have experience. I'm just saying they need more. The fact that they looked quite suspect against teams that are far more immature than them.
But that's the United way. This is not
No, but they're
Arsenal,
trying to change that.
Chelsea.
Like I can't believe I'm
I
the
can't believe you're
fucking
the
moral
one doing
arbiter
this.
of United right now. They're trying to change their culture. This is what you do. You have to sign players to change cultures.
I'll wait. I'll wait till I see the change of culture.
No, I agree, and I think when they play Atleti on the 13th of February, Valentine's Day, it might break my heart when Atleti lose, but it might be the best day of my life because all their investments, all their signings will lead to them getting knocked out, and that's the dream, right? I'd love to be honest, there's a part of me that does want to see them get absolutely packed in by Bayern Munich, and as I've said before, the longer they're in the Champions League, the less they're doing in the league. And we honestly, the more you and you and Chelsea and United sign, great. Keep buying players. Keep playing in the Champions League. I have no issues. Enjoy it this season because one of you isn't making it, and it's not us.
Oh yeah, sure. I love when City have the philosophy of let's not sign players, and then when your players die in January, February, March.
They didn't die. No, okay, hold on. Players. We had an 11 last year that was out. We had an 11 that was out. And by the way,
and why is that? Because you don't sign players. You do not.
But we did. We did sign players this year.
You don't sign enough players. It's been this for the last 4 years.
What do you mean we do sign players? We got Knack in. We got
Knack.
Yeah.
We got
Jade Rose. Our back four didn't exist in our team until last year. Yeah, our team's completely different. We have enough now to win the league. We don't have enough to win the Champions League. I agree. If we want to be in the Champions League, we're going to need more. But I mean, coming first comes with a little bit of money, to be fair, and being the champions,
second? What about second?
Being second, I mean, you know more about being second than I do. I wouldn't know how much money you get for being second. I only know how much money it is to be fourth and third. But this is the year. Fingers crossed. With you guys you're playing Chelsea 6 times this year, and United's going to make the Champions League semi-final apparently, according to their fans. So, and Leah Shalou will be the reason, according to them. But in other news, a team that's trying to make a semblance of a run for Champions League, but don't actually matter. But I don't know what this signing is. Is this Spurs going, wow, everyone else is buying Swedes, we need a Swede? Yeah. I kind of don't. Yeah.
Arsenal have a recession in Sweden, so we are unfortunately we've capped our Swedish. We've done the Swedish cap. We wasted it all in the last 5 years. Then now we're kind of Swedish phobic. So we completely reject all Swedes that come to us.
I thought Chelsea are Swede phobic.
No, Chelsea and us are in the same predicament right now. We just starting to sign Yanks. But I think what Spurs are doing, and I commend them for this, honestly, it's they're trying to copy Arsenal, which I mean that's what you do. You just copy your betters, and obviously by doing this, they're trying to trying to copy us in signing Scandies. This will get them nowhere because
you make them sound like a disease.
This will get them
my
nowhere.
God, they've signed the Scandies. But I don't know. She does get in, and to be fair, Nilden will be a cover. Is it a cover for Jess Naz, the injury? Probably.
But completely different players. This is the thing.
No, I'm not saying they're the same, but it's this is similar positions, just different output.
Yes, to an extent, but to me, Nilden has always been like a fullback. So
traditional, very much more traditional fullback than just Jess Naz powering down the right side as an aggressive fullback.
I just don't think they haven't signed other than Gorpset, which is again great pull from them. I will give them the Gorpset.
Nah, I'm not. I'm Norwegian pilled, and I'm not even Gorpset pilled. You know what? I think she scores 3 goals this season.
I don't think she scores many goals. I just think they need a goal. They need people to score goals that aren't their Swedish wonder kid and Beth England. That's basically it.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. We'll see how it looks in action in comparison to a player like Denise O'Sullivan going to Liverpool. Is that going to save Gazball? Will it get them? Will it get them off the ground? No, it won't save them. But a good pick, a good pull.
I have been Sullivan pilled since she was here in Western Sydney Wanderers, in the A-League. I have loved Denise O'Sullivan. I think she's an absolute pocket rocket. She's a maestro in midfield. She's a creative genius. I love
experience in that
midfield. She's very much needed. And I also think she's a player that will add something and facilitate Olsen in a way that we haven't seen before. I think one of the problems with Liverpool is they look so sturgid. Like they look really rugged. It's like they not rugged if you like it, more like they look like they're rusty, like really rusty, like corrosive. Like it's becoming a problem insofar as they can't even get into their final third. So I think O'Sullivan actually ignites something, brings life into this midfield. I think, of course, Liverpool need to change their backline. Like, I would do a complete sweep of their backline. I don't know if you saw it on TikTok. Someone said, if they were to replace Tegan Micah properly, then Liverpool would be in the top 4.
Oh my days. My days. You know what?
Like,
Farm the clips. I have no issue with that. That is top tier rage bait. I love that.
And I don't even think their goalkeeper is a problem. I actually think it's just like the rest of their defense.
I think Faye Kirby is if we're singling out Faye Kirby as the issue, have you not watched their back four play? Holy crap. You got a 35-year-old at centre half. Like let's get some youngsters in. Nagano's good, but you need a mature age centre half, 27, 28, brick wall to do some work, or someone who's 24, 25 who you think will build into that. You need to trust both avenues, really. There aren't as many signings around the grounds in the WSL for the other teams. I don't know what LCL's plans are other than changing their manager, a team that was in 6th, not, in my opinion, for all intensive purposes, doing far better than I expected them to do. They aren't particularly challenging for Champions League, but I assume the board, and by the board I mean Michelle, thinks that they should be challenging for Champions League, and that's why they sacked Jocelyn Prashaw, which is, in my opinion, crazy. I think, a lot of people talking about in Menso, Chelsea, Maresca going. I think this is more wild than Maresca going because I didn't think he was doing that badly. He did win the WSL too, very convincingly, and they've brought in what I think is an exciting manager, but with not a lot of track record, not a lot of honours in a manager like Eder Maestra, who came from Tenerife. Tenerife doing really well. Last year came 6th, currently in 5th. Went quite invincible for the first 10 games of this season, doing really, really well. But ultimately, I don't know what to think in terms of Tenerife. I've watched them play against Barca. I've watched them play against. They played a really good game against Madrid. I think they drew against Real, but against Barca, even in that 2-0, I believe the creation style, the aggressive wide play, and the crosses in will be very good for players like Godfrey, players like Paris, who like lower percentage chances to take them on and create box crashing moments. I think Aslani, who's very good in the air, will enjoy that as well. But I just think it's the question isn't about the question isn't about the management, isn't it about what they will bring to the table, because we kind of know what LCL will bring to the table because their players have such long and extensive track records of what they do on the pitch. It's about why. It's the question is really why, I think, and it's far different to like the West Ham move, which we'll get to after.
West Ham's ex-coach, who I affectionately call Prosciutto, was a coach who I think endeared himself to the fans.
Well, you mean LCL's coach?
Yeah, LCL's
LCL's coach. Yeah.
I called him Prosciutto because it's
Prosciutto. Jocelyn Prosciutto.
Yeah, I prefer that the fans have their voice in any way that they like. But I think LCL fans need to realize that they may love a manager for what they like, but the idea of fan engagement, of fan reaction to these things are so below Michelle Kang. She does not care what the fans think of some like nice guy who will like pick you out of a crowd and be like, oh, I saw you last week. No, here they're going to be like, are they getting results? To me, yes. I mean, if we're talking about a team that's just come up, like it's phenomenal. They're doing arguably the best in the last, 5 years of a team coming up. Easily.
No question.
And so to me, the fan reaction, the way that we're actually looking at a managerial change versus like millions spent in the transfer market in the January transfer window is interesting, and probably a tilt towards what Michelle Kang is and her real kind of facade dripping, which is a capitalist entity trying to preserve its profits and trying to basically seize upon any sort of momentum moving forward. And whether that be trying to get a coach from La Liga who is doing well, or trying to just kick some guy out who maybe, and this is just all speculation for me, probably didn't like the fact that he had about 1,000 players that he had to manage that were new and trying to fit them in. Like, I don't know what the conversations are between Kang and the managers of her team, but I would not be trusting Kang with anything football related.
Do you think it's like Severance, where it's just like through the camera, it's just like the board says you're sacked?
Yes, no, seriously, honestly, I think it's like that. It's actually depressing and terrible, and it's something that I think Prosciutto probably should have known when he went into the LCL project.
I think look, I have no like sad feelings for Prosciutto. Man's the biggest nepo baby in WOSO. Like his dad was one of the goats of WOSO. Like he will get another job somewhere else. He'll be fine, and definitely he'll still work in football. He's also like a statistician, like numbers tactician in football. So even if he's not coaching, he could be assistant coaching. He can help any team out. I think to come sixth with LCL to bring them to where they were. If I was City or something, I'd be looking at bringing him in as an assistant, right? Like he's someone who's clearly meticulous, can work with lesser players and build up. I mean, if I'm Freya Godfrey, I would be taking, like, her body of work is a testament to Prosciutto's system.
Her entrance into the Lionesses makeup
is on Prosciutto, right? 100%. But I think it's quite interesting to see how Maestro will go, because I do like Tenerife style of football. So if LCL play a better, more flamboyant brand of football, a more like extravagant, I think that would be nice. But I don't think you're 100% right. I don't think she cares, and I don't think she ever will care to that level, because LCL are not Lyon. Like you are the third diversification of her portfolio. You're not even second. Like Spirit would beat you. That's just a reality of the situation. Spirit are better than you. And it's not like you're signing. Like, I think every year you will sign $1 million player, which I think is quite interesting. You are kind of like the social experiment of the WSL. That's all you are to me. You're like the joke, like you're the AI prompt of the WSL. What would a team look like if a team had infinite money but can't actually use it because their broad appeal is yuck? Like that's what you are, right? Yeah. And I don't think teams find it overly ambitious. And now managers won't find it overly ambitious. And it actually reminds me of when Abramovich first came to Chelsea in the early 2000s, like late 90s, that era. Chelsea weren't the biggest or greatest team by any stretch of the imagination. And then Abramovich, there were managers that were brilliant. There were managers that were amazing. He won so many things. He sacked Ancelotti. He sacked Ranieri. He sacked Di Matteo. He sacked everyone. As soon as they weren't doing a margin of form that was good enough for him, and his money is not the same, but he just went, you know what, you're done straight away. Next, on to the next one. It is a results-based business. And I thought that Prosciutto was giving results for what I expect.
I thought so,
The question is the expectations of LCL, which only Michelle will know, and I mean that just gives me an idea for a new cover for a song. Only Kang knows, but. Only Kang knows. It seriously is that. Like we don't know what's coming for LCL.
I need to severance your brain from knowing music. That's what I need.
I apologize. But we'll move on to the next manager, Rita Guarino. What a pull for Juve. I actually think from Juve to West Ham. I mean, this is what we call a CV, right? Yeah. So Rianne Skinner ain't got nothing on you. She's won 4 league titles, 3 domestic cups in Italy. If you want to set the standards of what a team is capable of, the fact that they've pulled her, I know she's a bit past it, hasn't won anything in now will be 5 seasons, but this is what you need. This is what the team that wants to get pulled out from under the covers. This is how you do it. You bring in experience, you bring in tried, tested, proven management. And if I was a West Ham fan, I would be over the moon.
I think that this is a fantastic pull for West Ham. And also a really surprising move from West Ham, but also like quite aligns with their second half of the season purple patch form. I mean, I kind of expected with a new manager would come new expectations, new game style, but I didn't expect it to be an Italian manager. I mean, that's surprising in the WSL. But second of all, I didn't think it'd be a manager with such pedigree, and is a bit underrated if we're looking at like, I mean, she's no Serena Wiegman, you know, she's no Pia, you know, but like this is a player, this is a coach, I should say, who in her own right has established herself in what we should remember was a formative City are. So this is not like the City are that we know now. It's completely different, you know, 4 years ago. So what she can do at West Ham is basically limited to how willing she is to work with this group of players, which I think didn't necessarily let down Rhiannon Skinner, but were to a point one of the reasons why Rhiannon Skinner was released of her duties because of the fact that her players just didn't perform for her. But I think that I'm most excited for the game style. I'm most excited for what she can do with the star players. I'm thinking Ueki. I'm thinking Shakira Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez is
Yeah.
huge. So I mean, Ueki is. Who do you think's more similar? Like, I know they're not similar in any way, but if I'm looking at someone like Guarino, the way Guarino built that Juve side, if I'm going to pick three things that I've looked at in terms of her management style and structure, is relying, giving the freedom to the nine, the singular nine. So I am worried about the two up front will change. The Skinners two up front won't exist the same way. Maybe Ueki will have to move behind or onto the wing or whatever works for them.
I think on the wing.
But Misley back four. Yeah. So I'm expecting less goals. I'm expecting lower blocks. I'm expecting deeper midfield playmakers that are allowed to just defend, cover, and then find wide positions for territory. Obviously, Italian ball is very different to English. English is a lot more physical, whereas in Italy, you're allowed to create and facilitate like more like elegant lower percentage chances that build into brilliant chances. But if you look in all the seasons that Guarino has won, the talisman is Girelli. Girelli's getting 20 goals a season, right? If I'm Martinez and I'm working with Guarino, I would be thinking this second half of the year, I want it to look like last year's second half of the year. I think this is the time. If anyone out there is doing WSL fantasy, bring in Martinez. She's going to chef up this league. I think if it's going to be anything like the Juventus of yonder and what she wants to adopt that style, giving the license for Martinez to crowd the box, be a menace, put the ball on a platter for this girl because we know what she's capable of. And I think I don't think there's a more exciting time to be a West Ham fan than right now for them. And I think if Gori comes back into that midfield, I think she would suit that like aggressive physical style that holds the line a bit better, concedes less goals. But I mean, they're the two big managerial replacements. Now we can move on to rumours. A few rumours that have gone round. Oh no, we actually got one more that's a bit shocked us by surprise in a way. But Sheridan not being. I mean, is it not being offered a contract? Not being offered any semblance of opportunity to play football next year?
It was from what I read of her partner's Instagram story.
Yeah.
It was that they were completely blindsided by San Diego, who have been shipping off a lot of players, I should add.
Yes.
But basically was not either renewed or was not offered a place next season. Sheridan to me is a baller goalkeeper. I think she's really good. I think she was arguably one of the best goalkeepers of the NWSL last season, but also one of Canada's like talismanic figures.
By a mile, our number one, no question about it.
But
like
even just outside of
D'Angelo is the future, but Sheridan was and will always be our number one, like all time. Like she'll be number one.
I just think of her and like Alyssa Nair to be kind of in that same pool of players in terms of like Alyssa Nair is like god level of goalkeeper, but they are very similar. And so to me, to release a player like Sheridan, not just because, I mean, I don't even know who San Diego's second goalkeeper is, but just to release also which is like a talisman of your club as well is crazy work. And to not even be told or not even be kind of foreshadowed like, hey, we're kind of seeing like moving things around, what's going to happen. I mean, I don't know. I don't think she'll probably move anywhere, of note.
I think your background is a reference to where Sheridan should go, by the way.
I think it'd be a fantastic move. I've talked about goalkeepers on the pod before. I would like Falk. If we're doing an intra-club move, I'd like Leipzig from Leicester. But
Janina. She's
Yeah,
an amazing player.
she's a fantastic goalkeeper. But I think that what the Canadian League is offering right now is kind of like a little safe haven for these Canadian ballers to kind of do their thing and be in a professionalized environment that is not the NWSL, that
Comfortable though.
is very comfortable. And she's not like, 25 years old. Like this is
No.
not a
She's
young
done. The
goalkeeper.
best of her
Yeah.
years are behind her. I don't think she should be playing Champions League ball. But I mean, there's a question to be like, I mean, if you've got injuries, get her on for 6 months and pop her in. I think Falk is a longer term project, similar to like Liv Peng at Chelsea. I think there is.
Folk is old. Folk is
Yeah,
like
no,
32.
I know. That's what I mean. But it's still old in the remnants of like she's not 18. But I mean, in the sense of like it's still a longer term project to have a player like Falk than it is to have a short term contract cheaper than Sheridan, who can come in and do a job. But ultimately, I mean, I think Canada's definitely an option. And even like Canada is being built up similar, I mean, in some ways better than the Australian League, as a lot more Canadians are starting to build into the NWSL, into European leagues. I mean, I'm looking at Jade Rose being a immaculate trendsetter in the way, like, you don't even have to play much Canadian ball or American ball. You can just play college ball and go straight into Europe and build into the structures that exist. And I think Liv Smith, the same. Like, this is didn't play a lot in their respective countries, but
no, she moved directly to Sporting. So.
Exactly, and that's what I mean, is that you got to take these chances on quickly, and I think when they start in those structures, it's really good. But I mean, the last few rumors that we've seen are obviously the rumor that comes around. It seems every transfer window at this point in Selena Serci, the Hoffenheim god. Who's been linked to Bayern, who's been linked to Wolfsburg, who's been linked to Arsenal. They're the kind of the three-headed dragon, usual suspects that get linked to. I mean, Arsenal definitely being the like googly eyes dragon.
I was just about to say Arsenal is like the pipe dream. Arsenal is the storyteller.
She loves Arsenal. You see, every Serci celebration is this, or like she's doing
like
all sorts. She's drinking
Instagram
bottles
story,
all the time. Like she the only number she has in her house is 2. Like she's loving the stuff. I think look, I could see her at Arsenal more than I can see her at Bayern, but I see her at Wolfsburg more.
I totally see her at Wolfsburg. Like it's actually imperative.
Your LeBron replacement.
It's not even new LeBron replacement. It's Pop replacement.
Yeah,
like,
I know, eventually it is Pop replacement. I do agree with that.
It's imperative for VFL to get a replacement for Pop.
Do you think she's better centrally?
Yes, I've always said that. I think she's a poacher's player. I think her speed isn't fantastic.
Because Wook would disagree with us.
Yeah, but Vuk has played her in fullback. So, like, I'm not trusting Vuk in everything.
Vuk's also played her on the right wing, and she was sublime on the right wing. She is an athletically gifted freak. Like it actually is kind of scary how similar to Yula Brand she is. Like, the way in which they are so lanky, they are so fast, they are so. I mean, she's more clinical than Yula Brand. I'll give her that, but. I think she's more dangerous. I think Yula Brand. I mean, I'm slowly, like, I love her, but I'm slowly putting her in the
train?
No, I'm not off the Brand train. I'm calling low-key luxury player fraud watch a little bit. Like, she's great, but the fact that she's at Lyon is quite uninspiring. But in comparison to Serci's not going to Lyon. Serci wants to play, like, she wants to play every week. She wants to play 90 minutes every week, and I think there is something in that. Right, and
that's why she stayed at Hoffenheim for so long, in my opinion.
Yeah,
she wants to really create a CV that is, and also create that stability in being like, I've stayed as a number 9, as whatever, I've stayed in for the 90 minutes for X amount of years, X amount of seasons, come off of an ACL, and I'm doing this, and I'm basically Germany's either second or third pick in that forward line.
She's gonna fund Hoffenheim as well if she moves to any club. I don't think she'll be like 600, 700. I think she'll be 1.2, 1.3.
No, I think just because of the fact that she hasn't played European football and the fact that she's been at Hoffenheim, which if you don't
think the Nations League final performances.
I think it was fantastic, but I think the max she'll get is like 750 in my opinion.
Interesting. I mean, we'll do the Price is Right when she goes, because I think it's going to be. Would you go over under $1 million?
Yeah, I'll go under a mil. You're gonna
I'll go over a mil
Okay,
because
fine.
I think she'll be over a mil. I think she's that good. Maybe if it's 900,000, I think that's still
If it's
like a
VFL,
lot.
if it's VFL, no team no team in Germany has a mil.
No, I agree. They don't have a mil, but I think if Arsenal buy her, it would be
Yeah.
a mil. That's
Maybe,
what I mean.
maybe, potentially.
But the other player we can talk about, who I mean, I want her to leave just so her career can be redeemed. But CEO Shoika Nuskan, linked to Bayern, going back home. I mean, the question is, does she get in? Do we get another situation? Does Barcalas become the new Sonia and just also hate CEO in a way where she doesn't get into the side?
And then I responded on the pod prep page. She's that good. She can go anywhere in midfield. You can even stick her, like I'm telling you, you could stick her anywhere in the forward line and she'd do a job because she is that good. And not only that, the
I want a
accessibility.
diamond. I want a diamond.
Yeah, I know you want a diamond.
I'm a diamond goat. Diamond it up. So you've got you. I mean, obviously, in my diamond dream, it's actually Oberdorf, Stanway,
Yeah, sure.
Oberdorf, Stanway, Tanaka, CO, and then Stanway, CO, Tanaka in the 10, and then Bull and Peniel up top in a 2 up front.
Fantastic, amazing.
Delicious.
I don't know. Bull is getting her width. It's gone. No.
She doesn't need width. She'll just assist from the middle.
Okay, sure.
From the center. She can do it from the center.
But I think if I were Germany's coach, if I were in the German system, I would be calling up Bayern, going, "You need Nusken in your team. We need Julia Gwynn and we need Nusken, two of Germany's captains, to be in the same team." And the fact that she'd be playing with their German counterparts, it would just be Germany's dream. I think she should go because Sonja Bonpastor, for I don't know what reason, has completely forgotten about her or has just completely...
No, because Captine's better than her.
Apparently.
Because she is. She is.
Apparently.
I take everything back. Vika Captine is the greatest player in the world, and Seo Nusken is not good enough because what Sonia says goes, you know?
Yeah.
I've never said a bad thing about Captine or Sonia. I think that she's making all the right decisions, and I mean, leaving the captain out of your team is a psycho decision.
I would have her. I think most teams would have her.
I think she genuinely, other than Barca, walks into nearly every side.
Yeah,
I'm not even joking. I think she could walk into Lyon. I think she could definitely walk into City's side. She could walk into your side. Light work. You actually need a player like Nusken more than Bayern do, actually. I think Bayern have Stanway. Bayern have the cover in the midfield. You're the ones who need that. She loves playing in a midfield too as well. Like, that's it would be that would be the biggest blockbuster transfer if she went from Chelsea to Arsenal mid-year after you're about to play each other 5 times in a row. But that, I believe, is all we have for transfers. Is there anyone I'm missing? Any new ones that have come to the table while we've been talking? No.
As we've been talking, yes.
Yeah, that's what usually happens. We usually miss one or something happens.
Implode. That is the massive news.
Yeah,
Arsenal
exactly.
have imploded.
Not that I've seen just yet, but if something comes up after the pod, which is more likely, that will be depressing. We're going to move on to one of the last sections of the pod. We're onto our awards show. That's why I'm suited up at the moment.
That's why I'm not suited up.
I know it's the 4th of Jan, but we didn't get to do our end of year 2025 calendar year awards. We're going to start with our team of the year. I'm going to go through my team of the year relatively quickly. Neither of us like 4-3-3. Clearly we are both football antagonists. I've built a 4-4-2 in a diamond because that's what I'm going to do till I die, or until APA dies, but because that's just going to be my midfield mix. But I had to include Mariona, so I definitely made it a diamond. But I've got Hannah Hampton in goal. Obviously the Chelsea, England hero, Chelsea domestic treble brilliance. I have put Ona in right back. I know that's going to trigger the Chelsea fans after I've just put Hannah Hampton in. It doesn't matter. I've got Bjorn in, all right? Relax. I like Natalie Bjorn more than you guys do. Yeah, I love Bjorn. I think Bjorn is your best defender. She saves you and Millie Bright's PR currently. Oh my God. But Lucy Bronze is not there because every time that Ona came up against Lucy. She cooks the living crap out of her. And then also, I think Ona Battier is just the most underrated player in the Barcelona lineup. I think she's the one that gets constantly overlooked. I think everyone raves about Muppy, raves about the midfield, raves about the up front. She's the one who got the assist in the final for Mariona's goal. She's the one that dominated Chelsea in that Champions League semi-final in both legs. Direct opponent to Lucy Bronze and ripped her apart. And
how was her Champions League final, Ben?
I don't disagree. I mean, she wasn't fantastic, but I mean, a lot of players in that Barcelona side weren't fantastic. But I think she's done enough and did enough in the Euros to show her levels. I've got Irina Paredes, because if Irina Paredes isn't in, then I think you know nothing about football. My left back is an Arsenal player, surprisingly. I have three Arsenal players in here, including Katie McCabe, because, I mean, I know this year's been rough and we have been criticising her a lot, but, I mean, the last moment of this year, serial position effect, her last game of 2025, she was man of the match. The first game of 2025, she was man of the match. And her first half of this year, second half of last season, into the Champions League final win, I thought she was fantastic. I thought she was a mainstay. I thought she was the danger in terms of the creation elements of your left side. Caitlin Ford was tracking back. Katie was overlapping. I think she's amazing. And then my diamond, so obvious, the Spanish quartet. That is Patri, Mariona, Aitana, and Alexia Putellas in a diamond. Obviously, Patri in the 6, Mariona on the left, Aitana on the right, Alexia in the 10. Don't at me. The best 4 players I've ever watched in my lifetime. And then up front, I mean, they just choose themselves. Alessia Russo, Champions League, Euros winner, tied top goal scorer in the WSL with an injured one-legged Bunny Shaw. But Ewa Payor needs to be in this team as well for the most goals I've seen in a year. She's about to break the record for the most goals in 2 seasons concurrently. She's incredible. I do feel bad about leaving Pina out, but Pina's better on the bench anyway, and that's the game. And then my manager would probably be, I think it would have to be, I want to put Renee, but it's not Renee. I think it is Serena. I think Serena has done her job. They just didn't lose. They didn't lose much. And I know the Nations League was tough. I can't put any of the Spanish managers. I can't put Giraldez. I can't put Sonia. Like, Sonia was good, but not enough. And that semi-final shows that she's got a lot of work to do. So I'm going Serena as my manager of the year.
Awesome. A great team.
Yeah,
Objectively
bless.
fantastic team.
Thank you.
I'm not going to go through, we have very similar players, so I'm
Yes.
not going to go through the ones that we've already talked about. I mean, I
Yeah.
can talk a little bit about some of the Arsenal players a bit more just from my
Yes,
own
of
personal
course.
perspective.
Yeah.
But just to mention the players that I don't have, first of all, my formation is completely different. I have a 3-5-2, which is
Guys, just
very
expect
insane.
this. From now on, expect any team that, if we ever do Team of the Weeks in the future, her Team of the Weeks are just going to be 3-4-3, 3-5-2, 3-4-2-1. Just expect the reality that Leggy hates defenders, and it's okay. Yeah, it's
do.
all right. Yeah.
So my goalkeeper is AKB. This might be because I watch the NWSL a bit more than you, but also
And
because
you hate Chelsea as well.
and because I do hate Chelsea, but also because I have to recognize that out of the 2 goalkeepers that we've chosen, one has won an Intercontinental trophy and the other one hasn't. And AKB was instrumental in Gotham winning their own Intercontinental trophy. So
Yes.
I personally think AKB's Euros was fantastic. She was
She was
arguably
unbelievable. There's no
best
question.
keeper.
I think they were by far the 2 best keepers of. You can make an argument for both. I think AKB was good. I do think she had amazing moments. I mean, everyone will remember the save forever. I think that save will go down in Euros history. And her moments for Gotham were incredible.
The moments in the finals that she had, like, I mean, even going to the Washington game in the final, like, I mean, just she didn't have to make many saves, but I mean, she was consequential right at the end.
Yeah.
And I think she's a fantastic pillar to that Gotham team, which, as we've talked about, was so unlikely winners. I have a 3-back system. system which has Lucy Bronze, Bjorn, and Paredes. Lucy Bronze is there simply based on the fact that she is and forever will be one of the greatest England players, if not the greatest English defender ever. I think what she did for Chelsea this season, I don't think that they would have gotten a domestic treble if it weren't for Lucy Bronze.
That's true. I don't disagree.
She opened, if it wasn't she opened their campaign, she was a consequential goal in their first 24-25 season. I know that we're counting 2025 as a year, but I think it counts towards the form and what she was able to do. And of course, you go back to that 8-2 on aggregate win loss, and you go, yeah, she was pretty dreadful, but she was definitely not the worst of that back line. And
who was the best in that game?
Well, it was on your back.
No. Who was the best player on the park for both 4-1s? A player that you have in your team, by the way, that I don't. Yeah. I would say Pina. I'd say Pina was the best player.
I thought you were talking about Chelsea. Yes.
No. I'm saying in the 4-1s, both 4-1s, Pina was man of the match.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
Pina was the direct opposition to Lucy Bronze. Like her job was to lock down Pina, and Pina ran riot.
Yeah, because Pina is phenomenal, and that's why I have her in my team. But Lucy Bronze, outside of the game against her ex-team, against inarguably the best team in the world, bar the final Champions League, I really wish
they won that game. It would have solved all my issues. It would have solved all my life's problems.
But no, Lucy Bronze has to be in there, and then her Euros campaign was fantastic.
I do think she was. She should be in for all intensive purposes. Objectively, I'm still hurt about her leaving City, and she just won't be in. She'll have to win a Champions League for Chelsea for me to put her in at right back. But I mean, the Euros was immense, and then that goal in the semi-final against Italy as well to get them back in, having Adjumang as well. Like she's a rock.
It was against Sweden. Was it against Sweden?
Sweden. Yeah, she's never say die. She's the most never say die player. Drag teams out of a hole on her back, and she'll just keep going.
On my fullbacks, wing backs, if you like, because Lucy Bronze is not my right back. Lucy Bronze is my right-sided centre back. Yeah. I have Emily Fox. Arsenal's most consistent player in 2025. And I know Mariona is there and she was our best player in 2025. But if we're looking at consistency, it so obviously is Emily Fox. I have never seen a bad game by Emily Fox. I think she is so influential in our Arsenal team. I think she was very influential in our results coming into the Champions League and then obviously the final.
I'm waiting for the game that she plays bad, and
it's not going to happen.
I'm going to have a party on the pod. I'll be like, Fox was bad.
I just think if I'm putting her up against Anya Battier, one won the Champions League and was phenomenal with the USA, and then the other one had a fantastic season, did not have a good Champions League final, and then was quite influential in the Euros final, but then inevitably didn't win.
It's just two. We're judging it on 2 games. We're judging it on 2 games.
And I think Emily Fox is better in the.
It's razor thin margins. I don't think it's particularly inarguable. I think Emily Fox is great. I think next year there'll be a little inclusion on my team's behalf to look at who's the best right back in the WSL at the moment. Sure. And then also with the inclusion of Chelsea's new right back in Ellie Carpenter, making the right back conversation far more interesting than the left back conversation. Who's your left wing back?
They're not a defender because I think that left backs are dead in WOSO. I think
that's right. That's right, Katie. If we ever meet you, I'm getting this clip up right now.
I didn't attack you when you said yours. I just want to quickly mention Katie McCabe is so fantastic. She's one of my favorite players ever. But in terms of her 2025, what I have seen of
it's very up and down. Very up and down.
It's very inconsistent. And I could have picked Rolfo. I could have picked Esme Brutes. However, Pina needs to be in this team. And the way that I fit her in was to play her in fullback. And if we were playing a game, she would never have to defend anyway because this team is scoring buckets and is never losing the ball. But Pina needs to be in this team. Her performances are insane. Her stats are insane. Yes, she's a fantastic super sub, but what she offers, and particularly what she offers for Spain when she's on the park, is phenomenal. I remember the game, it was the Nations League, I believe, where she came on early for Parihuelo because Parihuelo got injured. And
Yes.
what
Are you talking about the first leg, the 3-0 against Sweden, the one where she scores the knuckle with her back to goal? Yeah, that's one of my favorite goals of the year. The technique, the brilliance of that strike is so underrated. Like that's when like Pina like was joking about the fact she was doing those press conferences where people were asking her about her FC, and she's like, I like that everyone hates me or loves me, and it's hilarious. But she actually plays like how good her, like, it's so funny. I talk to my friends who don't watch WOSO at all, and they're like, oh, I hate her so much. I'm like, watch her play. She's more OP in real life. She has a homing missile for a right foot that just hits the bin every time. And I don't even think she's aiming for the top bins. I think she's just aiming at the middle of the goal, and the ball just swazzes into the top bins.
And that game particularly proved to me that she can come on like 20 minutes into a game, and she doesn't have to have that super sub status anymore. I think that she can pretty much assuredly call her a starter for any team that she's in. And then the player I'm missing, which is controversial and even a little bit painful for me, is Alexia. From my midfield,
crime.
Yeah, potentially. But I have Patri, Mariona, and I have Aitana. I just think in terms of the influence, and I'm taking this specifically in big games, because I think all these players are big game players.
I'm also surprised at the fact that you have Aitana in the 10. Okay, yeah. So you have Mariona in the 10 and Aitana in the 8. Okay, sweet.
And I think particularly, as I said, in those big games, there are moments that Alexia shines, and then there are moments where Alexia is in her shell. And I think in 2025, in the big games, I'm thinking Champions League, I'm thinking not even just the final of...
It's endemic of a lot of Barcelona's players this year. I mean, we have included a lot of Barcelona's. I think they make up the majority of most of our team. Not the majority, but the biggest bulk of both of our teams. But there is an asterisk over the Payor, the Bonmati, the Patri. I mean, mainly because of their lack of competition in their respective position for accolades. But ultimately, you're not putting... Kira Walsh won a domestic treble and a Euros. I'm not putting her ahead of Aitana, right? Aitana doesn't have to win everything for me to say that 100 WOSO fans will pick Aitana over Kira Walsh in 2025. That's just what happens. And I think that's my case for Alexia, is that I don't really care how much she doesn't win or when she doesn't deliver in a final. If we're going up against aliens, she's my second name on the team sheet. It's Aitana and then her.
And that's funny, because one of the reasons why I chose Aitana to win the Ballon d'Or, and why I said, despite what I believe of Mariona to be the best player in the world, Alexia won it because she is the best, technically the best with her intelligence. She just is. She's a level above. Yeah. So I understand your argument, and I can understand, Alexia is just that. She makes her own legacy. She does not have to do anything else in her career just because of what she's done in the past.
Yeah, but also you can argue, like, the fact that I don't have Pina is also a disgrace. I think the fact that we're choosing between the two of them shows how good WOSO is becoming, and WOSO is that I can't fit Pina in my side. I just can't. This is the top goal scorer in the Champions League. There are players who've won 4, 5, even 6 trophies this year, and like Lyon players who win and just perennial winners year in, year out. We don't have any Lyon players in our team. We don't have anyone outside of Europe other than you having AKB in your respective team. We don't have Jaden Shaw, who I thought whose finals campaign was rivaling some of the best of the tournament players. But I think this is what will happen as we progress into 26 and move into 27 as well. We'll be looking at the international tournaments more, and the opportunities for teams and players beyond Europe to get the recognition that they deserve, because there are players outside of the Titans that will be able to break in certain avenues.
Well, like, that's, as we go into our player of the year, is kind of how we went into basically looking at how we were going to assess the best player of 2025. I think if we quickly backtrack, my manager of the year is probably Sonia Bonpastor, which I hate to say, but just the way that she was able to come into Chelsea and win a domestic treble is insane. And it was really one game, honestly, that was her.
I'd hate to be that award right now.
Yeah. But anyway, your player of the year, I think we're both in unison for this. It's pretty obvious.
Again, main character Mario. Am I right?
Yeah.
Mario Kart. She's just, everyone is Luigi to her. To be honest, she is. I mean, you can make a case for Russo. You can make a case for Pyor. There are stupid Chelsea fans who would make a case for Bronzy and Hannah Hampton. But if we're just going 2025, the year they've had no injuries, no holds barred, she's been fantastic. A little sly drop off in the first half of this season, but I count that down to Renee's fault, and I count that down to Arsenal's fault, not playing her in the 10 in her natural position. At least in your team of the year, you have her in her rightful position, and I find it insane. Sometimes football's really complicated. That's why not everyone talks about it, but also sometimes football's really easy, and you just play the best players in their natural positions, and you just let the game happen for them. And I felt like the fact that she's being shoehorned to do extra work defensively is an indictment on Arsenal's brand at the moment, because you guys are trying to be rivaling Chelsea. You should have a roster like them, and you don't. You've like, there is a little bit of like what's the word, status quo, like ideology that we're happy with what we've got. What we've got is great. We don't need more than what we have. And I think it's a bit silly. But I mean, I don't know. Is there anyone else you'd bring to the table that isn't Ella Pyor or Alessia? I don't even think Alexia gets near them three. I think they're the three.
I think, obviously, I mean, Aitana. She's my go. I'll always say Aitana. I mean, Ballon d'Or winner 3rd time in a row, Euros player of the tournament. I mean, you can debate it all you like. She is phenomenal. And as we go... Yeah, and as we go into the goal of the year, that's why I've chosen Aitana as my goal of the year.
Wait, which Aitana one? So are you talking about the Chelsea one, or...?
No, I'm talking about her Chelsea versus... her Germany goal against...
Oh, my God. I hate this goal. This is against your goalkeeper, by the way. Your goalie in your team of the year, in your team of the year, by the way.
Yeah, and
Hannah Hampton would never let that in.
Sure. To me, it's multiple things. We're going on multiple fronts. It's the fact that she did her homework on AKB to know that she'd come off her line a bit to make that shot. It's the dummy to turn, the speed, the technique to get it through on that angle. I mean, there are just so many complexities here that only Aitana could do, and that's why I love this goal. And yes, you have your fantastic goal that you'll mention, but to me, if we're talking about like my favorite player doing what I love and why she is my favorite player, it is that. And
I think the context also matters to that goal. As much as I'll shun this goal. I think low key scuff, low key terrible goalkeeping.
You said low key cross, which
low
is just
key cross.
offensive.
Yeah, low key scuffed across when in the goal. But that being said, the context is insane. And I'm not even talking about the fact that it's a Euro semi-final. I'm talking about the fact that she was gone. She was out. Like, if I was predicting this Euros, by the way. Anyone who was around me during the Euros time knows I was Mystic Ben during this whole Euros. I predicted the whole tournament. Did I predict Aitana to score in this game in my match predictor? I did. Did I predict her to score like that off the bench in the 114th minute after being there was all this talk? Yeah, all this talk. Yeah, she had all the pre-tournament stuff, being in hospital. They ruled her out basically. She was off the no. This was the first start she had. This was the first start. Yeah, she was all the talk of what it means for her to actually get off the bench and play. And then she's played her first start against arguably one of the form teams in the Euros at the time, the hardest goalie to beat, and put her own team in the final. The context, in my opinion, is more magnificent than the technical brilliance of the goal, which is still amazing. But I think it's hard to look past. I mean, I think the Chelsea goal, that goal that killed the second leg to pieces, the idea that there was going to be a English remontada is a joke, and then she just put Niamh Charles in the bin, ran through everyone, and then to have the composure to go at full pace, beat my goalkeeper, team of the year, near post, in the roof of the net is just a joke. Like, that's a joke. Like, that, I think technically... One is more technically beautiful, one is more technically difficult, and then that'd be my honourable mention alongside Marta's long shot in the Copa America final, the technical brilliance. context matters as well, what that game meant for Marta, what it meant for the game itself to get them back in the game against Colombia, and then ultimately go on to, I mean, we'll talk more about that game eventually, but I don't think anyone's beating Lisbeth Ovalle. I mean, obviously won the Marta Award for good reason. Honestly, I don't even see goals like that in any aspect of any level. Like, you could joke about the fact that, like, this is a goal you could see in like Sunday League that happens. No, I don't see this goal anywhere. You just don't. It's such a one of a kind goal. I don't think she'll ever repeat that movement. I don't think the movement has been semi-repeated. But it's not a repeatable goal in that context. No. In the brilliance, exactly. the aesthetics of how it looks. I think Ovalle has to be goal of the year, and it's sad that it is just the Marta Award, but like. It is just a magnificent goal. And
a Jenny Herboso assist as well. So
that's true. That's true. Shout out Jenny. She gets half the Marta Award just for the ball as well. They wouldn't have happened without the ball. But we're going to move into Game of the Year. I struggled with picking, like, I mean, I can talk about, like, some fun games that I've had so far this season, but I think I kind of want to leave them for, like, Team of the Season next year. I want to leave them in May, and then we can talk about Arsenal Bayern. No, I think it's the Copa America final. That game is... It's not about the football. It's about the religious expression, the romanticism of football is sometimes more important than the technical brilliance. And I think that game will get showed to your grandchildren. You'll be like, this is Marta. This is what she did at like 45 billion years old. Like this, she was still kicking about, still dominating at the top level. Then it also sets the precedent for Colombia's renaissance and what they're going to be in the future, because Linda Caicedo was probably man of the match in that game, and I love Caicedo. You guys love Caicedo based on the love for that TikTok we just released as well. But the amount of individual storylines in this game, the free kick, Marta's brace in the second half, and in extra time, 3 all in full time, in regulation time, 4 all in extra time, and then the penalties were good. It wasn't like the Euros where there was miss. It was in until the last. It was just it just so much. I could watch that game over and over again and never get bored.
I went a completely different route in terms of, like, this is just personal preference. This is like, they were fantastic games, and I'll quickly mention my honorable mention being Sweden-Germany in the Euros final of the group stages for that group.
Oh, the 4-1. The 4-1.
Literally fantastic game for, like...
Oh, this is you. Is this Stina pilled? Okay, yeah.
This is so Stina pilled. This
is why Stina's up there, not the 2025. Just because I knew Leggy will have a moment this pod where she just goes in on Stina. I should leave it up there. To be fair.
Stina, Rolfo, Hertig. I mean, I've never seen a game more Leggy pilled in my life. I loved it. The red card was fantastic. Everything about this game, that
red card was not fantastic.
It was so funny.
That was so bad. Oh my Jesus.
It was so good. Oh my God. No,
holy moly.
It just gave me enjoyment. Also, it was at like, I think 3 a.m. Australian time. So like I was genuinely like half asleep, but also just so awake for this game. I
think it woke everyone up. That game woke everyone up. Jesus. Holy moly.
But my actual game is the Lyon Arsenal second leg. The
remontada.
The absolutely fantastic remontada. I will never forget the pure like emotion and just like, it was purely primal. Like I was out of my body watching this game, seeing the result, was completely confused, but also obviously like shocked and absolutely elated. I loved it. It just gave me personal satisfaction in the year. I loved it.
Yeah, shout out to Kim Little in that game.
Yeah, my amazing.
God, what a performance. But that is, I mean, they're our games of the year as we move on to our last one, which is the Benchwarmer of the year. And I think we've kind of solved this through talking about it before. But, I mean, we're just going to do this debate every year. We're just going to compare these two until there is a better super sub. And when that super sub emerges, boy better know that we're just going to do a full pod on it. And the current duopoly that exists over the Benchwarmer of Benchwarmers is Stina versus Pina. And until there's another player that's Ina pilled, the same way that these two are, I don't see anyone comparing to them as incredible, immaculate, genuine super subs. But I mean, you did say it that Pina doesn't need to be a super sub, and there's an argument to say that she shouldn't be a super sub. But I will argue Pina should be a super sub purely on the basis that she plays better when everyone else is tired and she's fresh and just murders teams. I know she doesn't have to, but it's far more entertaining. The same way I think Stina doesn't have to be a super sub. You just have Alessia Russo.
Again, we've had this conversation before. I just think right now in their respective careers, I think it's like basically offensive to say that Claudia Pina is a super sub because yes, statistically and on paper, she has performed fantastic. She's performed completely out the stratosphere of what we expect from a player in these like really tough moments in finals and in games coming off the bench. But if we look at the impact that Stina has had on the field versus on the bench, it is just diametrically opposed to the point in which you're like, I don't actually think that this player is built for a 90 minutes. I don't think she's ever been built for a 90 minutes. I think we know that she's the super sub of the year because she scored the Champions League winning goal as a super sub. And
Are you putting Beth in as super sub of the year?
No, Beth made his super assist of the year. Like this is super. I think Stina is one of those players.
Jenny versus Beth.
I think Stina is just one of those players that we'll look back on and be like, I think she was underutilized and underrated and undervalued for just what she can do when she was at her peak playing 90s, and now what she's been able to do coming off the bench when she's not at that same 2022, 2021 level.
No, I don't disagree. I think it'll be an argument to see this second half of the season. Barcelona definitely looking hungry to get to Oslo. If Pina is starting, obviously Salma not fit. So, I mean, there's no reason why she shouldn't be starting. But if they were fully fit, would she be starting? That is the real question. And there's an argument to definitely say, of course she should because of how good her level is. It's just a matter of what's best for her and what she wants. It's not necessarily, I think for Spain, she will just naturally start. No one is better than her off the left and she dominates for Spain. So maybe there is an argument to say that just keep it the same as that. But I mean, we'll have the Stina v Pina debate annually as they move in and out of super sub of the year status, Benchwarmer of the year status. And that concludes our awards. Shout out to all our winners out there as we move to the final segment of the show, the What Would Kang Do, number 18. We're still here. We're still going. We're still rolling. We're here for the Financial Times releasing their 25 People of the Year for 2025. I love it. It's based on notoriety and a bunch of other crazy factors. This is free content for me. It's free content for me because my GOAT is in this. But we'll go through everyone. But we have the Jane Fonda, workout hero. We have Supreme Federal Court Minister Alexander de Moraes. Miss Rachel, the content creator, child early learning teacher.
Goat.
Yeah, everyone's GOAT of this year, basically. Margaret Atwood, the Handmaid's Tale GOAT. Rory McIlroy, the person who robbed Chloe Kelly of a Brit personality, according to many British people out there. We have Lotte Vick Newson, which, I mean, apparently, according to the Times, is a scientist, but I couldn't find them on the internet and find any of their contributions to any science this year, which is insane. Seems real sus, by the way. But we have Zach Brown, the CEO of McLaren. We have Blaise Metroelli, a Secret Service MI6 chief, who's some important security human. Also hella sus times two. Then we have Stella Lee, the BYD president, Build Your Dreams. Peter Thiel, Peter Thiel, I'm not even going to go into that.
Evil man.
Yeah, evil PayPal bloke who's friends with all of your least favorite politicians. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA AI slop GOAT. Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff. Safra Katz, the CEO of Oracle. Zoran Mamdani, Mamdani, obviously, right next to Nigel Farage, the two diametrically opposed political ideologies of America and the UK, respectively. We have Margarita Simonyan, who is arguably Putin's most fierce, loyal messenger and is the Valkyrie of his propaganda, which, I mean, you know what? She's got to be a shoo-in next year, to be fair.
Yeah,
sure. David Solomon, the Goldman Sachs CEO. Rosalia. I don't know how they went from David Solomon to Rosalia, but you know what? Berghain and Lux, great album. Stephen Graham, the adult.
Actual goat.
Yeah, the adult in adolescent. Bad Bunny. I mean, I know he's headlining the Super Bowl, but if you asked me to name a song of his and my life depended on it, I think I'd be dead. I don't think I can name a Bad Bunny song off the top of my head. We have Ryan.
Uncultured.
Well, yeah, I am so uncultured coming from you. Ryan Coogler, the guy who directed Sinners, Jonathan William Anderson, the creative director of Dior, Cynthia Erivo. By the way, this is all in order, by the way.
Erivo?
I'm going to... Arrivo. Cynthia Arrivo. Elphaba. Cynthia Elphaba, in my opinion. Then we have Helen Garner, the Australian novelist, goated novelist. Shout out to Monkey Grip, by the way. Good. You know what? Financial Times killed it there. And then last, but definitely not least, Michelle Yongmi Kang. Makes the 25th People of the Year. And if you actually look at their cover, the bookmarked like thumbnail of the Times is a graphic of Jensen Huang and Michelle Kang. So they clearly know who the two most important people on this list are. And obviously I had a plan for this week. It just went out the window because I thought I would just build an 11 out of this team of 25 people, right? I thought I'd get the best 11, right? Sure. This is your squad. This is like Jocelyn Prashaw getting all these players, and he has to build a squad of 11. So I want to know what you think of my 11 so far, right? Okay. So obviously I've built a 4-3-3 because it's easier, but we have Zach Brown in goal. Yeah, and Zach Brown obviously being the CEO of McLaren, only there because he's 6'1". Okay, he's just tall. We need height in goal. For Zach Brown. That's the key. Yeah. No. We have better centre halves incoming. Do not worry. Right back, Cynthia Erivo, pace on the right side, the Wicked Witch of the east side of the pitch. Obviously, the right back go. Nigel Farage, centre half, has to be. Brexit centre half, can't ask for more. Rory McIlroy. If he can drive a ball the way he drives a golf ball, his clearance into the 9 will be absolutely beautiful. Interesting. Yeah, I think McIlroy would just be... I mean, he's a Masters already. You just got to be... When you're a Masters defender, I think of like our Sunday League over 45 defenders, you know what I mean? Yeah. Then we have Lotte Vik Newson in left back. And the reason I have that... I have know nothing about him. But doesn't that name just sound like a Dutch left back? Like in the 2010s?
Yeah, I would have said like a Dutch winger in like, you know, the Eredivisie.
That's what I'm thinking of. But I'm thinking of like Giovanni van Bronckhorst is the same ilk as Lotte Vik Newson. But shout out to Lotte. I don't know what photo I'm going to use of you. In my head, you're just Van Bronckhorst right now. We have Blaise Metroelli in the CDM. So not only is Blaise Metroelli the MI6, obviously, is the MI6, but Blaise Metroelli also sounds like Blaise Matuidi. And Blaise Matuidi was a great 6 for PSG. So double entendres for the win here. We've got Jensen Huang as the box-to-box creator, obviously the AI router who can do it all. And even if he can't do it from box-to-box, he'll prompt what he needs to do from box-to-box because he's just a machine. I mean, and then who do you think we have in the 10? It's so obvious out of the lot. We have Rosalia. She's from Catalonia. Like, we are so sorted in the 10 department. Our midfield is crazy. And then left wing, Zoran Mamdani. Right wing, Margarita Simonyan, just putting them on their spectrums. Right wing, right winger, left wing, left winger. Fantastic. But obviously Zoran, being an Arsenal fan, I'm expecting a bit of Thierry Mamdani, woke on the left. Beautiful game, va-va-voom, as we know. And then, I mean, Simonyan, the Russian power off the right side. It's basically Denis Cheryshev, right? Like, that's what I'm expecting. And then up front, I needed some help, right? So, Bad Bunny could be the fox in the box, the bunny in the box.
Yeah.
But Jane Fonda works hard, sweats every game, plays with a smile on her face, and then her anti-war activism means that she may not be combative. And we need that up front. We need the anger up front. Is there any other player you think that could be in the 9 that we've missed? I don't know.
I think those two. I think those are good because like Bad Bunny's like your bunny-esque striker, and then Jane Fonda is more like your Alessia Russo type. I feel like.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you need maybe Bad Bunny, the fox in the box. The bunny in the box is the super sub.
I would have added Peter Thiel in this team somewhere. I feel like he's evil enough to be like a centre half, maybe, or just I
wasn't finished in the sense of that I would have Peter Thiel and Kang owning the club.
Oh,
yeah?
okay.
So Kang's the owner. Peter Thiel is the funder, like the actual financial like distributor, and then our manager is Stella Lee, right? So Stella Lee, CEO of BY. Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
If anyone can build a dynasty, build your dynasty, it's Stella Lee. But that's my financial times 11. I think there are a few players that miss out, and then the other 11. I mean, if we got to that, I think they'd get absolutely destroyed. I feel bad for the rest. It's not fair on the rest, but that is my financial times 11. If you want to send us anyone else's most important times people of 2025 and we'll build an 11 out of it, that's what we do. But that is our podcast for this week. Please rate us on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. If you love us or hate us, we don't care. Just engage. We love it. We love it. We're dropping 4 or 5 TikToks a week. Name any other podcast who's dropping 4 or 5 edits a week, plus full audio visuals on YouTube, plus Spotify. I'll wait. I'll gladly wait. And also, who watches more football than us? I don't think there's anyone who watches more football than us. There's no question about it. Even when there's no football on, we can still talk and yap for 2 hours about everything WOSO or everything not WOSO, to be honest. But
side hustles.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, whatever you want us to talk about, we will be there and we will do it every week.
Every week.
Every week? Every week. Single week. Thank you guys for watching and have a great week.